I should be live about now, at least I hope so. This was a very unprepared stream, so I apologize if there are any technical problems. OBS was acting up a little with the media playback before that, but it seems to all be fine. Yeah, so this is LTT Drama Part 3, I guess, in a much faster turnaround time than I ever expected. I'm still waiting basically for some kind of confirmation. Yep, okay, I seem to be live right now. That's great. The chat is also working. For anybody who has caught my last two videos, I really love an active chat. Please let me know what you think of the topic. Add jokes, add your own opinions. I apologize for a slightly rusty voice. I think I'm coming down with something a little bit. But it should get better throughout the video once I drink a little bit as well. Yeah, so it's been not so long ago since the Gamers Nexus video now, but we are now getting into a new phase, which is LTT did respond, and I definitely now expect there also to be a big part in the WAN show about this, because this is now a company-wide video from them, and I'm glad that yesterday we actually went through all the people in the company on their website, because that was actually fun to see, like, who did we like, who did we not like. Again, not in a in a hateful sense, but more like, yeah, it's a little weird that so many people are writers and very few are hired specifically as hosts, and basically they are forced because of the content creation pipeline to write something, to create it, and there's little oversight from what we've seen, which they will also be acknowledging here. So I've repeatedly said that I think that Linus by himself is a good dude. I think that the negative things at LTT come from the explosive growth that the company has experienced, both in its success on YouTube, but also by attempting to get even more successful, getting even bigger internally, more and more people, trying to keep that all together, managing their relationship with sponsors and more. I believe that no company that produces content like this should be at 120 people. Certainly not to the point where 120 people, like half of them are more involved in like product design and sponsor relationships, because you clearly are leaving then potential on the table. You now have to pay 120 people, which means you now have to have more sponsors, more shit on the LTT store, and your human resources department, your producers. Nobody can then focus properly on what matters most, which is your content. And the thing that will definitely not help is like trying to open up 50 new channels every other year. That, like, this is way too much. Like, they have like 9 channels now. Some of them have been like neglected, like channel Super Fun, and probably should be deleted by all accounts. Some other points are like that people are basically like hastily put into one content creation pipeline and then into the next. It's all a mess, to the point where people are just trying to meet deadlines and nobody can anymore take pride in their work. So I think it's great that they're already doing something. It will remain to be seen how much of that is lip service. They are saying they are like pausing content creation for this week, which is definitely a big cut into their revenue and profit. So that is somewhat commendable. But obviously it is the long-term success here in terms of lower error rates, better recognition when errors are actually made, faster corrections, and more public apologies if quality is not kept up. That's what we want to see. And throughout it all, we also want to see more humility. We don't just want to see them basically attack the people trying to give them constructive criticism. So there definitely is a multi-part story to how LTT will try to get better. and I think we are all here for it, because a channel as big as this deserves to be good. And I'm very, very hopeful that, not necessarily optimistic, I haven't seen anything yet, but I hope that they're going on that path. And the deadline, guys, I'm Mark Tech, by the way, I don't think I've mentioned that. I am doing something fun here. Like, I have a small channel, a Mark Tech Live. It's for live streams. We're mostly doing Apple topics and technology topics, a little bit of PlayStations, a little bit then less than that PC hardware stuff. But I'm very interested in LTT. I have followed them when I was younger. I do watch some videos occasionally nowadays as well. So this was definitely in my wheelhouse. We do have 2 videos covering basically how it all began, then how it all a little escalated, and now basically how it's coming to some form of conclusion, at least verbally. Let's see what the actual end product will be. Please like, subscribe, chat, comment, whatever you want to do. It all supports me, it all helps the algorithm. Please, I see we have several people already watching, which is great. I don't expect too many people at this time of day. Could you let me know if the audio levels are okay, especially once I start playing the video? Please let me know if it all sounds good, if I'm not too loud, if the video is not too loud, and stuff like that. And of course, cheers, my obligatory Coke, not sponsored, unfortunately. Consumption practice, oh my god, I think, oh my god, so slippery, I cannot freaking open it, that's so embarrassing. Guys, please let me disappear here. Okay. Oh my god, I'm so crazy here. Okay. Didn't want to spill it all over myself and my MacBook. Okay, so let's get into it.
I think Luke put it best at the roast a few years ago when he said,
"Why the f*** are you here?"
That's a 2-part answer. I'm speaking today because of the recent community outcry demanding change. I'm here because I agree with the community. We do have a lot of work to do. Before we talk about that, while I wish us on better terms, I just want to say I'm very glad to meet you all. I have spent the last couple decades on the corporate side, but my educational background is in computer science. My first role in the tech industry was as the writer at NewsSeeker. My history building gaming PCs was even...
Okay, I see we already have the first chatter. LTT getting combat on time. It's clear this video was made before Madison did the Twitter dump of her problems. Yes, guys, this will be a longer stream. So I usually dissect videos for a very long time. So if you're interested in that, please stay. But I haven't yet actually seen the Madison stuff. So I will definitely be reacting to that later on. I hope you're interested, because that does add some negative context to what should have been a somewhat positive turn of events. Yeah, definitely a shame that that happened simultaneously. Again, I haven't had a full time to really comprehend the entire situation, but I think as we explore this all together, hopefully it all becomes more clear basically in what position LTT is, or the Linus Media Group is currently, because it's very clear that not everybody is fully on the same page.
Further back to when I built a Celeron 300A rig, because everyone assured me it was guaranteed to overclock to 450 megahertz. I guess my trip didn't really get the memo. In any case, it feels really...
So that's the new CEO. Now that Linus officially stepped back and is now the Chief Vision Officer, which is such a pretentious, like, new age, like, position, but whatever. I don't know how good that guy will be for the company, but obviously I'm willing to give him a chance, right? It's not his fault that, like, a lot of the content creation pipeline is a little fucked because of years and years of unrealistic deadlines, too many videos planned for each week. I think we went through that in one of the videos, was like 25 videos that they were creating throughout all the channels and the WAN show, etc. It's really a mess, and it's almostly a wonder that we didn't get even more mistakes and errors from them than we ended up seeing, which Gamers Nexus ended up covering.
Really give feedback on most days. I'm only 6 weeks into the job, but in that time I've seen a lot. I've looked at some budgeting.
Imagine happening that in your like 6th week. Oh, that must suck. Like I don't feel. I feel sorry for him. I feel a little bad. It's not his fault, definitely. We will see obviously other people who are also involved in like how LTT runs behind the scenes. So we will see how much people actually take. Not credit, but like how much they actually apologize for it and acknowledge that some of it is their fault.
Some team building and operations. But my main focus has been to be a fly on the wall and gain an understanding of what's going right and what's going wrong. There's a lot of both. I've asked the team to unflinchingly address both the concerns that have been raised and how we intend to fix them, with the money we'll make from our sponsor.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
I was asked for unflinching, and here...
I admit, that's funny. Like, I don't care. Like, if you have an image of a sponsor slut, basically, I think that's fair to make a joke about it once in a while. Though it does still divert from the actual problem that they have. Way too many sponsors, way too many close relationships with such a wide array of, like, hyper huge sponsors. So yeah, the joke is funny, admittedly, but... it leaves a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth, don't you think so? Guys, please let me know, is the audio okay for you? I didn't have time a lot to check it. I reduced the media source audio a little bit and my own as well, because for some reason the mic was acting up. Please let me know if it all sounds okay to you, except for my throat. Obviously I cannot correct that.
Yes. Linus is a human gas molecule. You've been telling him for years, and I've been telling him for years. Staying relevant on YouTube is hard for everyone, but we aren't fighting for survival anymore, and we don't need to run at this pace. In fact, in some ways, it's our efforts to keep doing more and keep doing better that have created our current situation. My background is in managing a pharmacy, where the small details matter a lot. And basically, I agree with the community, so I'm putting my foot down. Effective immediately, all YouTube video production is on pause. And our teams are going to be spending this entire next week focusing on long-term workflow changes to make our content better in a lasting way. This means for the first time...
Okay, so it's definitely positive. I will not be poo-pooing that. Sometimes taking a break to reflect yourself and then reflect with your team will be very crucial to improving your processes that might have gone wrong. Giving it just a week, like, unless you really in that week decide on a different internal schedule, I think that would probably be enough to then give you more time in the future as well, because everybody has a little bit more time now for each individual project. Especially if you're working on something long-term, which usually is more interesting in my opinion, and trying to create new standards for overseeing content. You do have the manpower. How you utilize it is up to you. I will have some general criticism of that I don't think will be addressed. Like, I think a lot of the content starts to feel a little bland. It all basically feels a little samey to me, but obviously they do have 15-16 million subs. A lot of their viewers are younger than a lot of other tech channels, so I kind of cannot blame them for doing something that works. It's kind of like Mr. Beast. Like, yeah, sure, it's big, it's sort of creative, but it also all feels a little bit the same. So I have no idea why my charger doesn't work. Okay, now it works. Does it work here? No, I have no idea why. Okay, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is that my MacBook is charging, though I'm now charging it with the slowest charger I have. Yeah, so basically it's good. What she's saying is very good. I'm very happy to see it. It will be very interesting just how profound the changes will be.
In over 12 years, LTT will be missing not just one daily upload, but many. But improving to the degree that we want and need.
Is it just LTT or all across Linus Media Group? I think she might have just misspoken. It seems like it would be all of LMG, wouldn't it?
It's going to take more than a week. So I'll be working with Taryn and Colton to manage our sponsor commitments and the financial hit of both this housekeeping week and a reduction in our LTT upload schedule. At least for now, while we get our house in order. But
Yeah, okay. So we definitely feel like that feature creep is still creeping in, right? It seems like they definitely will try to create more content again, which is fine if they get then like the appropriate amount of people and resources. But it's very clear that the deadlines on each individual project have to change. Because if you still demand like one video per week for each writer, regardless of something going wrong, maybe some of the testing not working out, or maybe some other problems creeping in, that's a shame to me. Because if you don't address that, then you're basically not addressing anything. At the very least, you now need people like middle managers, a very, very like disliked position, but you need people who oversee a video properly before it's uploaded. No editing mistakes. Like they've had a lot of editing mistakes recently, where videos like abruptly cut off and there's like some wrong frames. Again, it's not big in comparison to the overall video. It's like 1 or 2 frames in a 12-minute video, but it still has to be acknowledged. There are other mistakes just than errors, objective errors. Some of your content still feels samey. Your editing isn't really interesting in any way anymore, and your projects start to feel like a little, not just a little, but most of it feels rushed. Because even if you have a good idea behind the video, which you have some cool guys there, of course you will have some.
I can assure you that I've read the criticisms that we weren't willing to spend $500 to test a product, and as the one that manages the finance, I can tell you that couldn't be further from the truth. Linus made a clear and egregious judgment.
I mean, Linus objectively said that about that specific topic. I understand what she's trying to get at. It's mostly that she wants to say, basically that, oh, it was like one individual case where we were thinking about like $500, but it's less about just the $500. What if somebody then comes in and says, okay, I'm completely unable to meet the deadline without those and those extra resources? This is the benefit that you should have from a long-term relationship with your workers and from being as large a company as you are. We are not talking about a company fighting for its survival. As she said, they're not fighting for their survival anymore, which means that now you are in a position where you don't have to meet every demand from every worker all of the time. We don't have a dictatorship of the proletariat in Canada. That's fine, but you clearly have to be more charitable to them now that you have the resources. You have so many people working on sponsors, product designs for the LTT store and stuff like that. It's very clear that this definitely seem to have more priority in recent time than the actual content creation that allows you to actually have those relationships with sponsors, that even allows you to put your own ads into videos for LTT merge. You have to be more respectful of the content that got you there, that keeps you there, and that will keep you there. You cannot prioritize the end result only. And I think taking a break will definitely be a good idea, but as she will hopefully continue to say, again, I've watched the video, but I was also in the bathroom, that primarily it will be more about like listening to people, trying to change deadlines, and she does say that there will be an overall reduction in content output.
Error regarding retesting a product he felt was impractical. That was wrong, and I've told him so. He allowed his personal feelings on the matter to cloud his judgment. And I want to stress that our organization is
his wife said that to him. I love her. Yvonne is awesome, but still Linus is a wife guy, which is great.
Committed to our ongoing investments in making our content better. And we will do better, as a team. Why don't I let our chief money spender take it from here?
Hi, I'm Gary, head of labs. First off, we've made some mistakes. Too many. We're hoping that it's how we deal with them moving forward that will define who we are. And regardless, it's clear that we need to serve you better. So our team will be spending our week publishing living documents for our testing standards and opening them up to feedback from the community and our peers in the industry, should they wish to participate. We will also task part of the team with going back through
yeah, sorry dude, but like whatever standards and testing you're publishing, it will pale in comparison to what Gamers Nexus has already made public to everybody. Their own ethical standards, their own testing methodology, they have deep breakdown videos of actual like lab-like testing for stuff which I have actually criticized, saying sometimes it gets a little bit too scientific with the point of like, it will confuse people if people will start going for like, oh, this product tested 1% better in the Gamers Nexus lab, but they do like very, very good, very repetitive testing in the good sense. In science, repetition is key. So I acknowledge that it's a good thing from LTT, but saying like, oh, whoever wants to participate, I'm sorry, dude, like you're at the bottom of the pack right now. Try having some humility and saying we are publishing it, and then we are open to your suggestions how those things could be further improved. That would be, in my opinion, a much better response. Head of labs, lol, he won't be around for long. Camo Kermit, yeah, like I have no idea. Like I've just seen his basically his head in yesterday when I scrolled through all of LTT's employees, LMG's employees. I'm sorry. Like I've seen him like once, I think, in one of the lab videos. I don't watch all of them. And it's like, yeah, it's a bad position because the question is like, okay, so you produce mistakes because LTT Labs is still a mess. They're still building it up. How much of that is on him? Because Linus himself have said stuff like, oh, we are still waiting for like heat pumps and stuff like that. My question is, if the lab is clearly not ready, like both in raw construction and also conceptually, then it's not really his fault. Some delays will also not always be his fault. Sometimes delays just happen. Construction companies are late, employees get sick, stuff happens. I will not be doing the Fire Colton meme for this guy whose name I completely missed right now. But yeah, it's definitely interesting that out of everything, LTT Labs is the one thing that is objectively like bad currently. And even in like their latest video about like the cheap microphone they tested and stuff, they said like that those are technically like not results from the LTT lab. So my question is like, really, you couldn't then wait with this video until LTT Labs testing was actually available to you? So guys, please chat in. You see, I respond to you. I love a lively chat. I will pause. I know some of people might get annoyed because of that, but I really want your input because I myself don't follow LTT as much anymore. So it's important to me to maybe hear from people who are basically deeper into the sauce. Gutapens, this just comes off as terrified corporate types trying to shut the stable door after the horse has bolted. It's definitely, I have repeatedly said, you are free to check out my previous streams. I think that everything that Linus said previously was either in bad faith, extremely arrogant, or cheap corporate apologia saying, oh, we are committed to improving ourselves. It's like the South Park guy, like, we are sorry, like when it comes to like the oil leak and stuff. It's like, yeah, that was what Linus was trying to do. Then he got angry, stopped doing it. Then clearly somebody confronted him again, so he tried recontextualizing everything, and now we have this, which to me is like, I've reacted to like Linus's comments just 12 hours ago, and some of them were not that old, so they were clearly starting to make this video. Then why couldn't he just shut up in the meantime? Like, and then we will go to like the medicine comments, because clearly somebody else wasn't able to shut up. So this definitely is still corporate apologia, but I don't care. They are a company. I expect that from him. My question is, will they actually follow through on some of that?
Every video with labs data to ensure accuracy, make full corrections, and if there are any fundamental issues with the workflow design or results, pull or replace that video outright. I don't agree with that.
You see? And by the way, like, I've actually had some shit whenever I said that, because I've said that like repeatedly in the last few streams, that like videos that are inherently bad had like bad testing methodology, where you know you have mistakes in them that influence the core video, right? The end review and stuff like that. You cannot just post a video, then post a small correction underneath, still keep the end conclusion that was influenced by those mistakes that you made, and then expect us to look at this video and say, yeah, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine, sure. Nothing wrong here. Sorry, I'm just centering the video here. Yeah, okay. Artix, they're deleting comments about Madison Lamau. Yeah, they clearly are still not really ready to fully listen, so I hope that this is basically the better version of the apology that Linus delivered. It's honestly the apology that should have come right away, and now that they will keep getting some backlash for stuff like what is happening with Madison, I am hoping that we will continue to see more and more introspection. Again, I know this is corporate apologia, I know this will not change the entire company forever, but I do hope that some aspects will change enough so that at least people, consumers, will not be getting regular garbage from them.
Every criticism that's been leveled at my team, but for my part, I need to own what we've done wrong and lay out our action plan for how to move forward. Before I do that, one point I do need to address here is that Linus misspoke when he said we retest for every video. We retest for every project. When we use the same data.
Extreme, are they just deleting comments about medicine, or are they deleting negative content comments in general? Because if there is some hateful stuff, I can understand that, and I mean like hateful in like a negative sense. If somebody is like racist and sexist towards people in the video, obviously not towards him, but like we did have Yvonne speaking, and I imagine there will be some hatred there. Well, medicine, yeah, that's the point. Deleting comment just about medicine, that's bad. That just shows that you haven't fully reflected on the topic. Yeah, that's bad, and I think Artix pointed that out. I'm fully in agreement here. That saying that, oh yeah, we are fully acknowledging, but now, yeah, the medicine stuff, yeah. I think they just want to focus on the overall corporate message and try to distract from everything that happens through any individual, which of course will create backlash as well.
For our RX 7600 and RTX 4060 Ti videos, we knew in advance that these cards would release 2 days apart and designed a broad test suite that accounted for all the numbers we would need to make those two videos and ran everything at once with no BIOS or driver changes. In fairness to Linus, the project to video ratio is normally 1:1, but the devil's in the details. Now, let's talk about what's coming. We will release our current Mark Bench harnesses as open source items so that the community can audit the code around our test integrations. We will do a vlog-style video on Floatplane about our testing from start to finish, so you can see how the sausage is actually...
Okay, so I'm glad that he's actually calling Linus out here on stuff like, we don't retest, which is hilarious to me. It's like there's so much quality control issues, so much miscommunication of what is actually happening. I think their core methodology is fucked because they don't have enough checks and balances, even if they do decent testing by themselves, as I've outlined in like the hardware unbox reaction, and of course what Gamers Nexus has said. It's very clear that it doesn't matter if something is coming from LTT Labs, from TechWiki, from TechLinked. You get mistakes throughout it because nobody is then taking a good final look, somebody with some actual knowledge. And having primarily one person works on one video and then it gets edited and then it gets out, that's not gonna solve everything. Doc Brusky, are they deleting? I'm seeing the same medicines comment I did earlier. They might, like some people might be botting comments right now, so if they are deleting, I don't think that they will fully delete everything, unless they do like forbid like the word medicine in the comments and stuff like that, which I don't think they will do necessarily. I hope the backlash to that would be too big. Luke Tip, great that you are joining. Gimli, great that you are joining. So we do have some people from my chat, which usually from my live stream that usually happen much later in the day. The whole medicine thing can think you're gonna say she said. So without proof, it's nothing more of an accusation. Yeah, Artix, I've seen a few deleted, including mine. Okay, Artix, be honest with us here. Were you really hateful there, or like? Could you tell us what you said? Because I would be interested to see, for example, it would meet my criteria for deletion. Luke Tip, there's a reason why Hardware Unboxing Gamers Nexus do benchmarking manually, not automatically. Quite honestly, Luke Tip, with how in what disarray the lab still is, I'm not even sure if they have fully gone to like automated testing for most of the videos that have launched recently. Because I don't know, it's like their own like Mark Bench is what they called like their automated software. Like I don't know if that's fully ready. So it might just be fucked up production schedules and people who are not fully familiar with the workflow doing this. Doc Browski, interesting, that's not a good look. I'm not one to blindly believe anyone. Accusation need to be looked into and if true handled. I've always said that I'm a big believer in Me Too and accountability. What I have never been a believer in is blind trust at the detriment of any other fact finding, which is I'm fine with a general like I'm fine with believing women in general at first, but it all has to come with a process of fact-finding afterwards. Because anything else will it will hurt the reputation of the woman if she is blindly believed, because that will invite haters. It will obviously hurt the man if he doesn't deserve it, which would be completely fucked up. So yeah, 100% in agreement here. Artix, my comment was address the sexual abuse allegations verbatim. Not sure if this is considered bad or not. Maybe the word sexual triggered them in that regard. Sexual and abuse. Linus is not even the one in charge of fully anymore, so we will see. I would wager that maybe there's some dead weight, and I hate to talk about people this way, but like from all the like when you hire so many people so fast, there will be some hires there that you won't agree with after like a year or two. And yes, people do have some probation periods there, but it seems like some people were just hired on spot. Like a lot of the lab hiring seemed to just be Linus's hype in all his videos. Like, we hire real engineers and real scientists here, so yeah, okay, so sexual abuse is probably they probably have a trigger for this, and I do mean YouTube has a trigger for this in general, that it's pretty easy for you to delete it. So yeah, again, it's not a bad comment. I don't think it should be deleted, but I think it's less to do with like, apparently they're clearly not deleting the word medicine, but it seems to be more about the sexual abuse stuff. Again, I don't know even on my channel if like YouTube would automatically strike it. And sometimes YouTube is also weird because usually if it recognizes a comment as bad, it can hold it for review, right? So you might yourself still see it, but nobody else has seen it, so that might also be a discrepancy here. But once again, I am a young small channel here, so and I do live stream, so it's very different for me. I'm not an expert on this.
Actually made. We will open a new community forum post asking for transparency suggestions, and more importantly, we will follow up. We will start placing our testing project number in the credits, so we are always open about the data set that was used for the benchmark results. And there is a lot more still to come, ranging from test variation percentages per workbench.
Again, I will not be going into detail into this, even though it's not super technical. It's something that I expect, like I expect internal processes to evolve for every company, but like, yeah, it's. I also would say that some of their testing has been historically misguided, but for example, like when they test Macs, right, I'm an Apple channel here first and foremost, then a little bit of PlayStation, and then a little bit of all other tech. That's what you should expect here. It's when they test Macs, they have this maniacal obsession with like rendering apps, half of which are not even optimized for the platform, because rendering is clearly not what the vast majority of Mac professionals are doing on Macs. Many who do like very intense rendering get themselves like a professional great like PC and then edit this, but and then do that, and then that PC is only for this and maybe for a little gaming on the side, and then they get like a MacBook, let's say a Pro, for their video editing stuff, for their audio editing, for their coding, for their web design, for their photo editing, and all the stuff that Macs are really good at, which is to the point that like, of course, rendering should be acknowledged, but it cannot be like 1/3 of your testing for a platform that clearly doesn't prioritize it. So beyond just doing potentially bad testing, I will often find in their videos meaningless testing that probably took up time and resources, and probably they did that because that was what they are most familiar with, but they clearly have no comprehensive understanding of other platforms. Even like a ton of their people, like he's wearing an Apple Watch, isn't he? Right? They clearly have like people who are using iPhones, Apple Watches and stuff. In their reviews, there's often this profound non-understanding of anything beyond Windows and a little bit of Linux, like how those platforms are used. So that's there definitely needs to be more change than just fixing the raw technical aspects. Doug Brusky, tell me this old man isn't holding the remote for a teleprompter. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Which is so weird. Why did... Like, bro, come on, you could have held your hand lower, but then it could have also looked weird. So, yeah, this is definitely a corporate apologia thing. But for him, it makes a little more sense because he's bringing up some technical stuff, and they clearly did this very, very quickly. So, ooh, yikes.
To each benchmark we utilized in videos, among others. It's going to be a busy week of not making videos.
Same goes for us. I'm James, head of the right.
Yeah, this is also something that I've acknowledged like yesterday, which is it's not wrong using a teleprompter. Using a teleprompter shows that he is not talking out of his heart, which is completely fine. As I said, this is a corporate apologia, but it's a funny look, because usually you would do something to prevent that look from happening. So that's the point here I'm trying to make. It's not that it's bad that he is using a teleprompter, it's that they didn't even bother to cover up that look. And clearly some other people are capable of using it without a remote. Not, it could still be something else, but it's like 99% teleprompter.
Department. We are extremely grateful for everything the lab has done and continues to do to make our jobs easier. But the actual testing is not the biggest source of our recent struggles. It's the human factor. There have been times when an internal video review caught an incorrect graph, resulting in new versions of the graph being created, only for those new graphs to not be put in the video. Ah! Just about every error that has appeared in a video in the past year has directly resulted in a process change designed to prevent that specific issue from
How many process change? I don't believe that for a second. I believe that there was acknowledgement of like problems, and I do believe that like a comprehensive. By the way, putting it up this way, it's like a little shitty. You couldn't put something higher quality up here, but like. It's clearly that some things are probably not happening throughout the pipeline, like real oversight control at the end. Maybe some kind of expert analysis, not saying that you need like to hire somebody externally, but like somebody who maybe understands the project about as well as whoever created it originally. It's very clear that you can have the best intentions and the best graphs, but doesn't mean that you're living up to those graphs. Yeah, by the way, Gimli, I'm not. Of course, it can be up to his eyesight, his age, but it's a bad look. That's what I'm trying to say. In general, I don't think it ruins the video in any way. I think it's just a little funny. No, I get it. Lots of people use a teleprompter, so Doug Browski agrees here. But seeing the remote as his hand is bad optics. Full agreement here. It's awesome how we come here together. We already have a new subscriber. I don't know who of you joined. We usually give people a heart if they join. Sometimes it works. Yes, it works great. So thank you so much.
ever happening again. But this kind of problem pops up, create a new process, whack-a-mole, isn't working. We'll be using our time to take feedback from our team on all of our processes and comb through all of our pending projects for areas where we can improve as we move forward with our reduced upload schedule. You'll see some of these videos go up during our time off. We already have multiple videos that are scheduled for release, but my main message to the team is that we want to spend this time working on inter-department communication and cleaning up our house. What we won't be doing is sanitizing things too much. We know that some of our best videos...
Nobody asks you to sanitize content when it comes to like funny live streams or something like that. I think that's a little bit of a red herring, which is he's basically saying we are not going woke, bros, right? Because that clearly was never any of the suggestions, and we are fine with you doing mistakes in like videos that are clearly designed to be entertainment and not pure information, which is why I've repeatedly called out that they need a balance of infotainment, and for all their lab stuff, it basically has to cater as much to the information side as possible, and basically the entertainment is only the package for it. The content itself cannot be wrong for funniness sake in any of that.
Videos are centered around Linus and other members of the team goofing around with tech and having fun. That is not going to stop. But others, like GPU and CPU releases, certainly require all the rigor we can muster.
And also please do some better Mac testing and Apple testing in general, and actually put it on MAC address and hire at least one more person who clearly understands Apple beyond the red-haired guy and beyond Emily. Please do that too if you actually want to keep covering Apple.
Those launches don't happen as often these days, so it will take some time before you see the full payoff of our continuous improvement. But it has...
Kirby, you're saying the medicine comments have been definitely purged. Yeah, I'm inclined to believe. I don't think that they want to have sexual abuse talk in their comments on their apology for how much quality they have lost. Can you imagine having to respond to both things basically like simultaneously and shit? Yeah.
Already started happening. Not only did the community love our 4060 review, but our team found it less stressful to put out. Have we had a flawless victory? No. But since these last reviews, we've onboarded a dedicated visualization person whose full-time job it is to create graphs that are correct, digestible, and accessible. We've done serious development on our automatic specs database thing so that our visualizations pull the correct info in every time. And we'll soon be announcing the details of a new crowdsourced fact-checking system for both LTT and tech.
Yeah, crowdsourcing is great. It actually works well for like YouTube, for Twitter now, which is the one good thing that Elon Musk did on that platform. Everything else has been shite. But I I don't know, you clearly have been catching mistakes and stuff like that. Some of it also is an aesthetics question. Guys, correct me if you feel very differently here, but to me, if you catch a very egregious mistake beforehand, I don't really just want an asterisk or like an annotation in the comments or something like that. I actually want you to go back and redo a little bit of shit. If you have misspoken once in a video for like TechLinked and TechQuickie, clearly you can get a person back to revoice at least that word, right? Maybe they're wearing a different t-shirt or something, so of course you cannot just take a video of them the next day and expect it to feel smooth, but it's better than just leaving in wrong information audio and then trying to correct it through video annotations. Do you know what I'm saying here?
Quickie, so that our content's correctness satisfies even our most discerning community members.
I'm
The
Ed,
connoisseur.
head of our production team. We have some of the most comprehensive documentation and processes.
Again, I don't care about your documentation. Documentation is part of the problem if you try to use it as a shield. Some small creators don't have any documentation, but they do have an internal compass that guides them, and they will create higher quality content without any like 500-page list of good practices. Like, I assure you that Gamers Nexus was doing good work before they pushed out how they actually do their shit and what their actual ethics are. To say that you have documentation is not... I understand you're trying to say, oh, we definitely have thought about those things, right? We are not just coming out from a position of laziness here, but it does look a little bit like deflection and using it as a shield. Look, Tip, 100%, even recording audio would be fine. There's a lot of things you can do. Yeah, of course. There's like band-aids that you can have. Some band-aids have like human skin colors, right? So that they look somewhat natural. But Linus puts like band-aids that are like a bright neon pink right there, and they only cover up half the wound. That's not a real solution in the end run. Cut LTT some slack. They're a new emerging tech channel, a small family-oriented team with limited resources. Yeah, guys, but we have gone through like their employee page. When it comes to actual content creation, it's not that far off to say they have limited resources, because clearly like half of their operation exists for sponsors and for LTT merch store, and then for all the stuff that also has to do with all of that, like warehouse managing and building the actual lab. Like, yeah, it's like we're a small business here. we only had an offer of $100 million to get acquired, and I think it wasn't even Canadian dollars, right? I think it was the real currency, you know, US dollars. But yeah, that was also like, we are a small company, of course. Definitely agree with you, Mark. They include so much redundant information in the video. Okay, so yeah. There is deflection here. It's corporate apologia. As I said, some of it comes natural to all people when we try to apologize and deflect, and some of it is clearly a little bit more like planned. Like, obviously they got like screenshots and stuff for all of this, so they clearly thought that this would actually be helpful. This clearly doesn't just come from a position of, oh yeah, this guy really wanted to mention this.
In the company, from automations to keep project information accurate, to communication procedures, to standards for how loud videos can be. Those systems have helped with the video edit side of things, but I've seen...
Another love for our 120th subscriber. Can you see the heart? Yes. Thank you guys so much. The channel has grown so much over the last 3 days. I know it's still a super small channel, but I really appreciate anybody who joins.
Some examples where we've failed to see the forest for the trees and allowed well-edited but erroneous content to slip through the cracks.
It's not that well edited anymore, to be honest. Like... am I the only one here? Like, have you noticed like the editing feeling really offbeat recently, where it clearly feels rushed? I'm not even blaming the editors. I'm clearly blaming how little time they have for everything.
So for our part, we'll be spending our time looking at how we can improve communication to help the team address anything that seems off as soon as possible. A personal task for me will be putting the finishing touches on some cool ways we can make small edits that avoid the slapdash text on screen corrections whenever possible. As for how we catch those bugs, that's not my department, so I'm throwing it over to Nick.
Hold on.
Oh my god, that was such an unnecessary thing, I believe. It's like you barely gave him any time to speak. Come on.
I'm mostly on the product side. LTTstore.com.
Yeah, that's the problem. You have a ton of, like, you have a CEO. Oh my god, you have a fucking COO that is mostly on the production side? That's how you choose to operate? Really? That's insane to me. Like, we have gone through like the employee pages, and only Short Circuit had a dedicated producer, and only MAC address had a dedicated host. Can you imagine, like, just how fucked up it is internally if your chief operating officer basically doesn't give a crap about your content creation company creating content because he's busy creating backpacks and hoodies? Like, obviously not himself, but making sure that they come out the door. Like, come at any other company, that would be like a giant catastrophe if they found out that like your CEO was not involved with the, like, sure, you now have Linus as like your CVO, like your chief vision officer, but come on, it's so clear that sponsor relationships, products on LTT store, etc. have been so much prioritized over actual content, it's kind of insane.
What? Somebody had to say it. But the theme of today's video is transparency and accountability. You might not see me in video credits, but I still serve as a last line of defense in reviewing most LTT videos before they are published. I typically check for security links and inappropriate or NSFW jokes, but there are times when I catch a factual error or a weird graph that doesn't really tell the full story. To be clear...
Really? That's your job? What is your qualification? How much time do you actually have? Is that the guy, like, I was saying we need like somebody overseeing videos. I meant like people who are actually qualified on the topic that the video is trying to put out. This is the guy who does this? Am I going insane? Am I taking crazy pills? Like, I know it's clearly not just him, but at CEO, that's like the last job you should have. Like, yes, okay, you're managing product output and stuff like that. That's fine for the most part. But you should be, like, involved with, like, overseeing, like, the overall content creation pipeline. Not finding individual mistakes yourself, but making sure that there are always enough people on all projects and stuff like that. Like... That's so fucked. I mean, like, sure, he's not technically an executive officer, but like, you need to handle internal operations. Even like, and you're just handling internal financial operations. Oh.
We also have checks for technical aspects from our writing team, and in some cases, the lab. But our processes for ensuring those checks
Let me guess, it's some automated bullshit for the most part nowadays.
And following up these findings haven't been perfect, and our corrections are often made quickly. So while we take this time to reflect, I'll be focused on helping build a set of guidelines for our pre-release reviews and trying to set up a system that allows our team to take
Yes, exactly. That's what you should be doing, not primarily production stuff. You should be creating those guidelines and overseeing that they are actually well executed. And then you should be reporting to the CEO. Am I wrong here? Like,
finer look at every aspect of our videos, every single time. And
what? No, clearly not.
maybe with time, everyone here will be so aligned with our mission that my input is no longer needed.
Oh!
Focus my full attention.
Oh no, not this again. Oh my god, I think, Oh, this is so insane. They're, oh, no. They're going with the, I'm training my middle managers so well that I don't need to do my actual job anymore. Oh my god, this is so fucked. They're going with the, yeah, you are overseeing yourself. Guys, this is not, oh my god. It's literally your job to oversee operations. It's fine if you have to keep doing that. You are getting paid for this, man.
Attention on making little widgets that you don't need, but definitely want.
And you definitely need better content creation rules and execution.
Like this retro-themed screwdriver.
Oh my god, no, you cannot do an ad joke several times.
Errors in our supporting assets like tables and graphs chip away our credibility. So continuing to improve our process issues to minimize errors will remain a top priority under my leadership. I guarantee there will be future mistakes. We are human. But in the next week, we'll be creating and publishing a clear policy for correction handling, and I'll be working with the community management team to be prompt and
Okay, this is where we get back to the joke of it's a small like family business, because this is something with 120 employees or even with 20 employees that you should have had like a fuck ton long time ago. This is insane that you are trying to label this as like, oh yeah, now we are getting a comprehensive like error correction system. That's so fucked.
with corrections are as visible as possible. I think what happened with the Polish mouse is a perfect example of the kind of breakdown that should never happen again. Last Friday, Linus was notified of the issue a couple hours before the WAN show, where he discussed the errors with the video on short circuit and apologized unequivocally. But while we recut the video to remove the misleading information, no one closed the loop and dealt with a tone-deaf and frankly unapologetic correction in the pinned comment.
Yes, exactly. So it's funny though that now he is saying that because he is CEO, even though that apology came from Linus. That, oh god.
Mission is to get the information to the community.
There clearly is like some like blame shifting here. Everybody tries to shift the blame away a little bit while acknowledging a little bit, and then in the end it feels like nobody properly acknowledging besides Yvonne. Yvonne was like the one person who said like, we're clearly creating too much, we're taking a break to overthink it, and then short term we're doing like less content, but then apparently long term clearly returning to the same thing, which is also problematic unless they hire more people. Ugh.
Which includes having a degree of humility about our mistakes, even if it makes us look less than perfect. The other side of my job is
you are less than perfect. Humility for having small mistakes is always interesting. It's not always super necessary in my opinion. But humility for huge mistakes, for repeated mistakes, is absolutely needed if you actually want to be still respected in any way.
CEO is keeping the lights on, ensuring our staff is well taken care of, and putting dollars into some fun stuff, like watering and cooling a PC with a pool. And that's through sponsorships, affiliate programs, paid subscriptions, or merchandise sales. One thing that's not negotiable with me, ownership, or the business team on sponsored content is we need to maintain control of the creative. I was on a call with a potential partner recently.
Tiancha, you're saying this video needs a more LTT store. Yeah, and Artix, you're saying she's, I assume you're meaning Yvonne, she's the only one not afraid of Linus. That's also true. Probably the other way around. But yeah, I mean, it's fine though. Like, of course the others have a different relationship with Linus though. Like, they are his employees, even the new CEO. Like, as Linus being the majority owner, they're still all under him, which of course hierarchy is fine, but yeah, there will be a different psychological perspective to how Yvonne addresses this, and I actually 100% believe the emotional side she showed us. I also believe the CEO guy that he wants to improve things, but if his primary task is still to bring in the dollars, I want to know how much he will get to clash with Linus and actually sometimes win by saying we are hurting the company long term with some of those expansion moves and stuff like that. And Colton, we did make some fun of Colton, like last stream, where apparently he is the one most at fault because he's like the head of production and something. But that's clearly also not the case. I don't like, you need like the actual like financial permissive structure to even attempt the kind of growth that they try to do. Like they have like fucking GameLink now, like in even more channels, right? That clearly doesn't happen just because out of the greed of Colton personally, but it's very clear that a lot of it has come from Linus, and then Linus had like an overly optimistic take that the company would be able to handle all that, and clearly Yvonne is the one who gets it, actually feels it, and is also then not afraid to verbalize it properly. Like he's bringing up that like the apology was like not an actual apology. That is fine, but I want to hear that directly from Linus, and not just later on, which we will see, but like head on first. Like, you know, like that crying video where he said I'm thinking of quitting. Like, yeah, that's what I want to see.
They asked for a cream puff piece. What's a cream puff piece? That's when they're like, how much money do we have to give you just so that you tell the story that we want? Before I can jump in and say anything, just because I'm in shock at this point in time, Nick turns over and says, no, absolutely not. I started laughing a little bit. I just said, hey, Nick, there's probably a more, a better way to handle that, where we could just soften up a little bit. But the truth is, I don't disagree with them. We've had many rocky periods with sponsors where they're not happy with the content or the conclusions, and because they couldn't affect the editorial bents. This has and continues to have significant negative impacts on revenue. I think we're pretty transparent on how, where, and why we make our money. And one of our strategic pillars is to make sure that we can maintain editorial independence. This has included on multiple occasions saying goodbye and good luck to sponsors ranging from thousands of dollars a year to hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Oh my god, the amount of money flowing through LMG is insane. I'm sorry guys, I'm really trying to charge my Mac properly, and it seems to like only one charger is properly working. I have no idea why.
Over remaining independent and doing right by the LTT community. While we were deciding if we were a good fit for each other, I was very pleased to see the integrity of the team here based on the deals that these guys have walked away from. I think one thing that we've done a poor job of, however, is publishing these standards where a community can see.
Yes, 100%. I brought it up last time, and I hope the people are still interested, which is they had like their secret shopper thing, and one of those companies, they had like this small whitish case, I think, like was completely fucked. Was it Orion PC or something like that? And they failed miserably at customer support. 1 week later, or like 2 weeks later, I saw them being a sponsor for one of Linus's videos. That was insane to me, because I was like, well, wait, so the secret shopper is just basically like, what, like window dressing to make you look like you actually care? You clearly don't bother to actually enact any kind of consequences on the companies that you deem like have bad practices? What is then the point of all this? Because clearly not everybody will watch this one video, and if anybody even watched the video and then later sees them advertising through Linus, even I would be inclined to believe that, oh, have they spoken? Have they addressed criticism? Have they hired more people for customer support now? Is it all better now? But it's very clear that you need those practices, and I don't just want them to be published. You previously said that like you would have like a peer crowd review option for like finding mistakes. I also want like crowd reviews of your new standards. Is that too much to ask, right? If you publish it and it's clearly not enough. And I also want like the community to have some kind of element of like calling you out directly on a specific sponsor. For all I care, I think they should have a giant list of every single sponsor they have Obviously not with money. I think even the contracts with the actual sponsors will not allow it, even though that would be ideal. And then what they should do is they should have a mechanism for people to then at least write an email to say, I don't think this sponsor meets your quality, your new guidelines for this and this reason. And having this specific kind of like, it wouldn't even necessarily have to show up on the website, because that could make the sponsors angry unnecessarily, and sometimes people will pile up on companies they don't deserve it. But even internally, they need to have some kind of count beyond Twitter and YouTube comments, but especially from like their highly engaged community members, on which sponsors are not anymore suited for their content and which still are. And I hope that those moderation principles will be strict enough, but I also hope that there will actually be some fact-finding behind what sponsors are actually doing. Because it's very clear that, like, the Anchor situation was like the one time where they clearly, like, drew a red line. But that doesn't happen nearly often enough.
See them. That's something I'll be improving upon.
And so will I. I'm Colton, the head of business development, which includes departments like HR, procurement, logistics, events, and sales and marketing.
Way too much for one person to handle, but okay, dude.
Sponsorships specifically are an area where Linus has more limited oversight than he used to. And in my opinion, we haven't done a great job conveying that. It's up to my team to vet incoming sponsor requests and deal with issues that you, our viewers, have with our brand partners. One way we do that is using our LMG sponsor discussion subforum on linustechtips.com to create a dialogue between our business team and the community. It's obvious from some of the issues we're seeing that we need to be more communicative when we're actively working with brands to rectify issues. Most content creators can attest to the fact that brands sometimes take forever to respond to messages or address problems.
Sure, but they clearly won't be taking such a long time if you actually tell them you will drop them as a sponsor unless you get a response over that and that period. If you think that a topic is important enough to bring up and potentially sever the relationship, then you clearly need to have some kind of guts to actually tell them that. You do have the power now. That's the point. You are not a family business anymore. You haven't been for years anyway, but like, you are clearly have the resources. In fact, over most companies, you arguably have more leverage in like the YouTube space than any. Like, obviously, you don't have the money and the reach of necessarily like. Well, even the reach is probably like debatable, but like you don't have the money of like a Dell or HP. But imagine how Dell or HP would feel if you threatened to publicly sever ties with them for bad practices, not for a bad product, not for bad pricing, but for legitimately bad anti-consumer practices, for misleading marketing, and for more shit like that. You could become a giant force for good in the community, and it's insane that any of it has to be like basically forced upon them. Chai, but that would mean less sponsors, less revenue. This small channel will not survive. Yes, how dare I take the bread out of Colton's mouth, right?
Example is Anchor not removing Linus Tech Tips from their Amazon pages, even though we've been asking to be removed since our partnership with them ended.
I don't care if you're on their page, to be honest. If I know that you don't accept them as a sponsor anymore, those are aesthetic things. And aesthetic things are not as important as the actual facts on the ground. And in my opinion, you are doing almost enough to make sure, with Anchor specifically, I'm saying that. But like, if you have broken up with Anchor, that's good. We now want that repeated for other bad companies. Wait until they plug LTT shop and debrand in their apology video.
Months ago. We work.
By the way, I know how the video ends. So yeah, I know it's technically it's technically not an ad, but it's still technically a plug.
Hard to push for accountability, but we also understand that these businesses are either large with lots of moving parts or small with limited resources. So things can take time.
Like LTT, small, limited resources.
But you shouldn't be waiting in the dark. It's critical for us to get the sponsorship piece right because real talk, you guys are the boss. If you're not happy with brands we work with, you won't engage with our sponsors, and suddenly we won't be able to support all the cool stuff we're currently able to do. Moving forward then, you can expect weekly updates in the subforum on issues that need addressing, and we'll also include an up-to-date list of product verticals that are off limits for our channels. We hope this will enable us to make better calls consistently from here.
Lincoln Phoenix, after today, Anchor won't have any trouble pulling the sponsor logo of their page. Yeah, well, most people still, I think, have like a somewhat positive like association with like the general LTT logo. So, but also like Anchor is like, I use like Anchor shit and stuff like ironically not right next to me, but like yeah, that thing that happened, that was crazy and it was good, but I wish they were as reactionary in the positive way to stuff like the Anchor thing, but also on more sponsors in general and for smaller things. Not everything has to be as bad as what happened with Anchor.
On out, all while maintaining our long-time commitment to transparency. Finally, I want to apologize to Billet Labs for auctioning off their monoblock at LTX 2023. Our processes failed when I was selecting items to include in the charity auction, but then it was compounded because when the issue was brought up to me via email, even though I replied 2 hours later apologizing and offering to pay for the component, I forgot to actually include our contact in that email. So it went to our procurement team instead of Billet Labs. Side note, that same team, God bless them, didn't ask our event team who won the silent auction items and proceeded to email everyone asking. We don't need any of that. Certainly not for tax purposes. I clearly need to spend some of my week training the team, unless I actually get fired for real this time.
Yeah, that's a joke I want to hear here, right? But like, I'm not saying fire Colton, but I am saying give him somebody who also helps with clearly the immense amount of work that he has on his hands, because clearly it's way too much. And yes, I understand that like the auctioning off stuff is like a one-time thing and probably will not repeat itself anytime soon, but it's still a problem that came up, so I don't know, like...
Moving forward, we'll be implementing a more rigid process for separating items that need to go back and which ones we'll be holding on to for future testing.
This might ring a little hollow, coming from one half of the WAN Show team that brought you Trust Me Bro and the...
Yeah, this is the problem. If you have practices like Trust Me Bro, but are extremely then uncharitable to the companies you're not sponsored with, like Apple, again, this is a channel covering a lot of Apple stuff, Artix, you're saying limit his responsibilities of Colton at the very least. Yes, that's one thing, but the problem with like just saying do less stuff, Colton, is like, well, somebody still has to do that stuff, so you need to have somebody helping him, right? And then once you have a second person coming in, that person can be trained in those things, because clearly every company works differently internally, and then he could like take off at least like half the workload of Colton's shoulders.
privateering incident, among others, but we need to be better about our communication. Now, I have no intention to, like, kill the silly humor or be less open with people. I don't want anything to be less fun, but we do...
And yeah, going back to, like, Trust Me Bro, it's like the problem with Trust Me Bro is Linus is very charitable to himself, which, I mean, it's fine, most companies are. But, and when, like, his products break and people have, like, problems with getting warranty right away, he's like, trust us, bro, we are gonna fix it. And they do, still, but, like, you clearly need to have still better communication. And, yeah, that needs manpower, but you cannot have more man there anymore. Like, you already are breaking at the seams, as it seems. And it's a very difficult balance that will only be achieved if they actually size down a little. And I don't just mean like the people they have here right now, but once they create a little bit less content, maybe create a little less shit for the LTT store, then the amount of people they currently have will have obviously less to do per person and will be able to better handle it. Hire 1 or 2 more people for like middle management stuff and to help with all the things that Colton apparently has on his shoulders. And now you have a better balance that you can meet here. It's very clearly not fully what they're attempting to do, but it's kind of what I wish they would do. Origin Unknown got ready for next apology video on Madison. I think that's like really remains to be seen how they react to that. VNChai Madison case might just break LMG. Yeah, it depends. I haven't read up on it fully yet. We will go through the tweets later on. And then I'm also open to suggestions like of like what I should read, maybe on like a subreddit or something about the case. Maybe you can recommend me something. Granted, they have 69 joke coming up in the video. Ooh. And Luke tipped, trust me bro, works when your company is like 1 or 2 people, not it's when it's 10. Exactly. If like Tim Cook from Apple came like and said like, trust me bro, we're not doing this, it's like, well, granted, if you're just saying trust me bro, our next product will be good, that's one thing. If you're saying trust me bro, we haven't emailed you, we haven't given you proper warranty coverage, our customer support sucked, trust me bro, we are gonna fix it. No, that works for 1 or 2 people at best. Quite honestly, when I think when you have failed, you should always acknowledge it first and foremost, and trust me bro should never be the words you like lead with. Doug Burke, yeah, I was in someone's medicine comment, and after about 30 minutes the comment and all replies were deleted. Okay, so we definitely are seeing a pattern here. Great, you're like my little detectives. I thought I would need like a chat with like 1,000 viewers, like what Hassan or XQC have on Twitch for fact checking and stuff, but like I love that you guys are already doing that. We have like 24 to 29 people watching, and we're already on point here. Giving it a thumbs up, hoping that, yeah, it finds that. Good, great.
We need to be respectful and conscious of the impact of our words. We should be proud of the work that we do, but we shouldn't negatively compare ourselves to our fellow tech reviewers. When issuing corrections, we need to apologize. We need to respect people's time and their money. I said after the last round of this that you don't win by screaming loudly or dramaing hard. You win by fixing problems, improving, and becoming a hard target. We're still f***ing up a lot, and we need to own that, fix it, and move on, not be defensive or shirk blame. That being said, I'm not really on the production side of things these days. What my teams and I are working hard on is to support the other teams in other ways. Reintegrating it to LMG has been somewhat terrifying. One of my team's jobs is to take over management of the infrastructure, and while I have brought an experienced team member into the fold, it needs a lot of work. So far, we've mostly...
Well, yeah, that's the problem. Like, and there will be mistakes made while, like, you cannot make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, sure. But, like, it's very clear that there are systemic problems that doing more will not help with addressing. Like, Yvonne basically said the most relevant thing in this video, and she said it in the most believable way. Everybody else is basically trying to promise also like more content on the down low, right? They're like, oh, and I have this one more person who is also dealing with all this. That's fine, sure, but I want an acknowledgement that you are also doing less internally, because clearly everything is currently not holding true together. So just bringing in one more person to oversee a broken process will not fix that broken process. You need to actually start creating less.
Just been focused on documenting what we even have, and most of our initial steps beyond that will be improving overall stability rather than flashy video-worthy projects. Any production interruptions due to shoddy infrastructure add additional burden to the other teams, and our goal is 6 nines.
Oh my, yeah,
Also
they.
continue.
Oh my god, they actually have a 69 joke. Oh my god. Oh, we definitely need to go through the medicine
To
comments
maintain
later
it.
on. Everyone should keep those kids at LMG in check. Yeah, she definitely should. 90, she definitely did that to Linus for a while, and that was, in my opinion, the best era of LTT. 90 Frost, yeah, the video is monetized. What? No, this video, was it monetized? Really? Like the Gamers Nexus video wasn't monetized. I cannot say if a video is monetized when I watch something because I have YouTube Premium. So I don't see ads anyway. Can somebody confirm to me, maybe open up like YouTube on like a separate page or something if you don't have YouTube Premium? Could somebody check if this apology video is monetized through ads? Because it doesn't have a sponsor, but are they trying to still like get some monetized views with this? That would be hilariously bad.
And develop our inventory system, which, with better processes, should be able to help keep things like Billet's prototype from being
Archik saying
mishandled,
it's definitely
displaced.
monetized. Well, now I want to spit on them, to be quite honest, but that's my MacBook in front of me. That's fucked. Don't you guys think that? Oh my god, they monetized their apology video. Like, I don't think even Logan Paul did that. Yeah, 90 Frost, Jan's video is not monetized. Okay, YouTube Kulian Cheesy, I'm so sorry, I barely can read that. Yeah, I think they accidentally kept it on. I really hope it's, if it's accidental, then they need to, even if it's not accidental and they want to pivot that way, then they need to deactivate the monetization and then promise to give that shit to charity. Extreme, you're also confirming it's monetized. That's fucked. Like, now I'm grateful for YouTube Premium because I think I would have been like extra angry. Imagine opening up an apology video, like, and seeing like, because YouTube, like, if you're a monetized channel, right? I know that, for example, people like see videos, like ads on my videos because YouTube shows ads for themselves. It's not money that I get. But like, I think if you're a heavily monetized channel already, then there are no ads. Am I wrong? I'm not an expert. I don't have money through YouTube. So could it be that those are just like ads from YouTube? But like, I'm sure they could have like did something to not have ads on that video. That's fucked. My god. Again, I don't want to assume the worst. I try to be fair-minded here. Do you guys know if one can tell the difference?
And misused in the future. And the foundational work we're doing on reliable data management and storage should enable teams like the editors and the engineering folks in the lab to move faster and more confidently with lower risk of errors, thanks to new tools like our specs database. Among my other unmentioned...
and we are getting to another problem, which is there are a lot of buzzwords here about like, oh, we now have a spec database and shit like that. That's fine. But like, they're clearly trying to obfuscate the real problems here by mentioning small shit that all companies have anyway, and they clearly utilize it better. Like, I want actual internal processes to change, and I don't want to see PDFs of documentations of how your internal processes work, because they clearly haven't worked. I don't want to know that you have like a fact-checking mechanism, because you should probably burn it at that point, given the results it's currently creating. So don't come at me with that kind of stuff with like, oh yeah, we do have internal processes. So yeah.
Unrelated responsibilities is keeping Linus from driving off various cliffs, which I have failed at.
Great, so Linus is now basically mostly at fault here, the way some are saying this.
A number of times.
And let's face it, he's gonna fail again. Hey, it's me. I'm Chief Vision Officer.
I'm glad that Linus knows how bullshit his own title is, and that's why he's saying I'm the Chief Vision Officer. Like, why couldn't you be like the Sergey Brin and Larry Page and mostly fuck off after a while? Clearly, because you are the most important assets the company has, and I cannot hold that against him. But you clearly are trying to get rid of some responsibilities, but you are so deeply entwined, you will never get rid of it if you stay that close. That's Who said that? Why are so many people such arseholes to women in tech?
No, but realistically, I'm not going to be able to hide behind my recent demotion here. I was the one at the head of the...
Glad he is saying that. I didn't get to this part when I pre-watched it. I basically knew that he would come on, and I checked the very end to see. So I know the joke at the end, but those next 2 minutes are basically unknown to me.
Company for each and every mistake that our community has rightly brought to our attention. And once again, I made things worse by allowing myself to respond emotionally.
Yeah, dude, how emotional are you to sit there and type? I'm sorry, I know it's loud when I tap against the table, but it's like, this was such a long-winded, nonsensical response, and so vitriolic to even like Billet Labs, who weren't even involved directly with this. Like, it's not like they like Gamers Nexus was posting their videos on behalf of Billet Labs. They were doing that simply because it was the right thing to do. Oh my god, get ready to get seriously mad after reading the Twitter from Madison. Oh Jesus Christ, I hope my battery lasts until then. I don't know why it's not working. Maybe in the midst of this I have to stand up and get like my proper cable. Maybe it's my USB-C cable that's fucked or something, because my iPhone is charging in a way that like, or maybe it's like a bad power like splitter here.
Honestly, really hard when people take an internal process error and then they run that all the way to Linus is a thief and wants to auction someone else.
Oh, come on, you're taking the worst, like, I hate this when this happens. You're taking good faith criticism, then seeing what some of the worst people make of it. I'm not saying Linus is a thief here, but like, imagine me being now lumped in with those people who are saying objectively wrong things and hateful things sometimes. Though saying it's like a massive screw up is not necessarily bad, so it's not all as bad as he makes it out to be. But like, yeah, clearly it wasn't just for money. Like, tech tip, want some money, illegally resell one-of-a-kind engineering sample. I know that this wasn't made to enrich themselves, but I still think it's kind of fucked that he wants to reduce it to this, because that's clearly not where the majority of the community is coming from.
His intellectual property to the highest bidder, or accuses me of trying to brush something under the rug just because I do think it's important to get all the details before declaring me to be a low-down liar, straight-up piece of shit. We were slow shipping back the GPU that Billet Labs sent us. There's no way around it. That's our bad. But the delay in communication, the one that prompted the post that you guys just saw, it was less than 2 business days. The second that I was made aware of the situation on the 14th, I emailed Billet Labs and I explained what happened. I even included Colton's attempt at apologizing and offering, no questions asked, full compensation for their stated value of the product, which happened on the 10th, before we were under any pressure to do so, and without Colton even bothering to check with me or Yvonne before just saying, go for it. He knows that our internal policy is to do the right thing. So, he tried, bless him. I guess his job is safe for another day. And sorry, I guess I've actually gotten a little bit emotional here again. So I'm going to stop there because whatever's being said about me and whatever's being said about the team should never have allowed my feelings to distract from any
You like, why weren't you able to just respond to respond properly to Gamers Nexus? Is my question here. Because Gamers Nexus was not coming in with bad faith. They were not calling you a thief. They were calling you out on objective failures in content in quality assurance, and even in bad practices when it comes to job threatening. Well, at least that's a long-running joke. I actually think that Colton's job is probably one of the most secure ones, given how much he actually has to do. And that the company would probably start to fall apart if they lose like a person with all those jobs.
valid criticism of our work. My decision, for example, to not bother retesting the monoblock, that was obviously wrong, and my lame response on the forum was a huge and unnecessary blunder. I owe you guys better, and I'm sorry. For my part, first, I'm going to be working through the other members of the exec team for any crisis communication moving forward. And second, I'm going to spend my week working with the other teams to develop a system of processes that will help our company fulfill my vision of being a world-class tech media organization. I'm also going to be spending my week just refocusing, guys, on what matters most, which is bringing you guys the best damn content that we can make. It's been...
I mean, yeah, but like, I clearly want to hear more from him, like, to some of the stuff that Yvonne has said, right? Like, I don't like that he's trying to hide behind basically like the idea of, yeah, like, again, corporate apologia, we are making better content, I'm sorry, I was emotional. It's like, sure, that's one thing, but it clearly cannot be everything.
over 10 years. Good Lord, it's been almost 15. But I still love tech. I love my team, and even though our relationship's a little rocky right now, I love this community and everything. None of that has changed, and none of it is going to.
During my interview, one line from Linus that stood out to me was, I need somebody to come in who I know will be respectful of my life's work. That's when the gravity of what he was asking for dawned on me for the first time. I'm by no means influencer or social media guy, but suddenly I am
Twitter is
accountable not
getting
only to Linus and
spicy, I hear. Okay, so I don't know why, but OBS is struggling with proper video
and the
playback.
entire staff at LMG, but most importantly, to the entire LMG audience. I'm fortunate to be inheriting a wonderful team that is passionate and has a ton of energy, who shares the same goal.
Well, I don't know if Linus is acting fake. I have a hard time fully believing the intensity, right? Because there clearly is some wrong stuff happening that should be taken more seriously than it is. Because having it all resort to the same kind of corporate apologia then becomes a problem, because clearly nobody but Yvonne had like a comprehensive strategy to actually address the core issues. Everybody else was bringing up the things that are happening at any company anyway, like, oh, we have like a process, if a mistake comes up, we fix it in the force so that it doesn't happen in the future, which clearly hasn't worked. So to me, even though it's important to mention that too, the most important thing always should be that you are bringing up things like reducing the amount of content you're putting out. I want to see, like, maybe you, like, shit on fucking Game Linked, right? Do we need another gaming news channel when we have already, like, a billion guys, like the best one being, in my opinion, Spawnwave for like daily news, and then Skill Up does like amazing weekly summaries? Why do we need one from Linus from guys that are already clearly overworked?
ones together, and when we make mistakes, we also share the responsibility. I'll be coaching the team on the kinds of deep state corporate stuff that I think I'm reasonably good at. Budgeting, team building, relationship management, business development, operational processes. All things I consider to be essential life skills rather than the tactics of some sort of weird Illuminati conspiracy. We need to be a more well-oiled machine.
It's such a weird way of phrasing it. Yeah, we know that companies work like companies. That's fine.